One of the things I ask Alan about, I think it's unique, is despite the fact that you can't recruit, you guys have both been able to keep systems in place. Is that because of the great job you guys do at youth levels?
I think that's a great point that you make, is that you take, for instance, this past summer we were able to get with our youth coaches and go through some clinics and explain, hey, if we were a fourth grade coach or fifth grade coach, what type of defense would we run? How would we, and not that they're all going to do that, but they might line up a certain way. They might call a guy the certain technique or the certain name. And for me, when that kid becomes a sixth grader, he already knows how to play, and then that passes on to the 8th and 9th and 10th grade. So I think there is something there that will help us, with the way the program is built and with the system that's in place.
And people don't realize how just familiarity, how big that is. When a kid knows that name or that thing, he doesn't have that half step of waiting, does he?
Oh, without a doubt. And we see it at our level when we have to change positions or whatever it might be. And quite frankly, we've got a situation where we don't have two-way players. I mean, these guys come in as sophomores, and there's a lot of times they'll come in and they'll say, hey, Coach, I'm supposed to play this position or that position. And, hey, wait till you learn the first one before you try to learn the second one. And I think that because of that, they get really good at that one spot.
Obviously, this rivalry, everybody knows about this rivalry. It's been talked about a billion times. Have you ever just gotten curious and looked around the country at some other rivalries just to kind of look into what these kind of things are like outside here?
I think, some of the things that have enabled us to look at that is being, playing out of state, going to Ohio and seeing the Massillon and the Canton-McKinley rivalry. I mean, it's the oldest one in the country, and you think, well, how does ours measure up to that? And there's a lot more tradition there. I mean, when you've played a team for over 100 years, there's obviously tradition in Ohio with football, and there's certain rivalries. But the thing about this one, I think, is that it magnifies something good. It magnifies kids that are committed to a program. They're doing positive things, and we're getting to put a spotlight on it. And there's nothing better than a little bit of good news in the world today.
Certainly, when you get to the playoffs and you guys play, which you always do, I don't say it's a more basic football game, but I know during this game, there's always something special. You guys have special things you work on just for this game?
Well, the officials will always meet with us in pregame conferences, and they'll say, hey, Coach, is there any special play we need to know about before it happens or anything? And I always tell them, I say, hey, if it happens, I didn't call it. Early on like this, if there's something special, it's the kids did something a little bit awry of what as coaches we might have thought, but you never know. I don't want to tip my hat to too much. There might be one or two things.
How big is it for you to have them here? I know either way you play in front of a lot of people, but there's something about coming out of your own locker room.
There is, and we're the home team this year, and we get the opportunity to do that, and we would be at TU if the stadium was available, but to have Union Tuttle as a backup when TU is not available, for us it's a pretty neat blessing to have, and to have our kids here. And I don't think there's a better place for high school football. I know I'm biased, but it's just an awesome atmosphere when this place gets packed out.
Talk about your new carpet. What's that like?
Pretty exciting about that. We were definitely due to have some new turf out there, and to have that turf field out there is really been nice for our kids, and it plays really well in practice and our scrimmages. Our kids are real excited about it.
One of the things you guys have been blessed with are guys at quarterback who are bright, and you got another one now. I know Chase was a bright kid. Now you got a guy who doesn't make B's. How much of an advantage is it, Kirk, when you've got a guy out there that not only knows the game and knows the plan, but he can reason, he can think through things and get you in the right place?
Well, Kel plays with a lot of grit and a lot of intensity. He's a coach's kid. He knows the difference between practice and games, and he knows the intensity level that it takes to win ball games. And for me, there's a comfort level in that, and I never have to worry about Kel. In some of the decision making he's going to make. He's very smart. He understands our system, and I look forward to seeing many great plays from Caleb.
Is this any different? Is it ever? I mean, it's protect your quarterback, get after theirs, run and tackle, that kind of thing. The keys to the game are the same as they always are, aren't they?
I'm telling you, it is. You're exactly right. And early on, there's going to be mistakes. There's going to be a turnover. There's going to be missed tackles. There's going to be penalties. I mean, those types of things are going to happen in game two. For us, it gives us opportunity to correct them before we get started in the meat of our schedule against the best opponent we can play.
And talk about having a lot of guys at TU that you can go watch. Not only you an alumni, but you both have become just conduits for them. You look on the field at Tulsa. Jake Alexander would have played, not been for the knee injury. Of course, Thomas Roberson was big. You've got a lot of kids over there. Some other guys already committed. Is it pretty neat for you having guys that close to go watch?
A lot of pride involved in that as an Oklahoma high school coach to see those guys out there and on the weekends we're working. We were time crunch this week coming back from Evangel, and no doubt about it that TV with that TU game was on. Or we might have been muted. We might have been working on something, but about every guy on our staff had one eye on those guys in that game the other day.
Talk about Saturday morning after a Friday night game like that. Certainly, anytime you wake up, first thing you thought your mind's either go right to that thing that happened you didn't like or that thing that happened that you did like. What's a Saturday morning like when you win and when you lose?
It's, there's a couple of things. We've gotten in a habit of not going to bed till we digest it a little bit because you can't sleep anyway. And so we may stay up extremely late, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning on game nights. And then, the thing on Saturday mornings, the first thing that enters your mind when you wake up man, did we really win it? Or, my goodness, did we really lose that game? I mean, that's the first thing that hits your brain. And obviously you turn on the radio and read the newspaper and find out if it's really for real. But for our, the amazing thing is our kids have great resolve. Fortunately, there hasn't been too many of those bad days at Union in the last few years. But the kids respond, and they bounce back a whole lot faster than the adults.